My oaths betray each other till there's nothing left to keep.
Only Us by Miracle of Sound. Alright, welcome back to the Shardbreaker podcast. This is episode 14 of The Way of Kings from the Stormlight Archive. We read chapters 53 through 56 this week. And I am Midnight, your host, and I am here with Darkness,
Hello.
who seems very tired today, and Mythic.
Hello.
Mocking Darkness.
Yep, pretty much.
So we get into our first chapter here, which is chapter 53, Dunny. And our epigraph is, "He must pick it up, the fallen title, the tower, the crown, and the spear." Dated Vevahach, 1173, 8 seconds pre-death. Subject, a prostitute. Background, unknown. So what do you think the tower, the crown, and the spear refer to?
A person, a place, and a thing. There you go.
I'm not sure about the tower part.
I do want to say that I think...
What were the three things again?
The tower, the crown, and the spear.
So,
And I believe...
it's
Yeah,
people.
let me see if I can find a picture of it for you guys. This picture. So, Mythic wouldn't have seen this, but Darkness should have been seeing this. At the start of every Dalinar chapter is this symbol, which is the symbol of House Colon, which is a tower and a crown.
So they just need Kelsier and then, or not Kelsier.
Kaladin.
Thank you, Kaladin, and it'll be all perfect.
I told you they were gonna be lovers. Anyway.
Did you know?
Imagine.
Did you tell me that?
Also, Mythic, if you're curious, this is the image we see at the start of every Kaladin chapter.
It's a spear. Oh my god.
It's a lot of that.
I believe this one is Shalon. Let me before I...
Long.
What's the point of that line
What line?
across all the spears? Like,
Oh, the like little semicircle thing?
yeah.
Sure.
What was that other one?
Looks
Don't
like
worry about it.
ruined. Wow. Put something in here and then hates it all.
Right. Right.
I copied the wrong image at first. Yeah. So yeah, that one's Shalon's. Yeah, so they all get their own little symbol at the start of their POV chapters. But yeah. So we start this chapter with Kaladin's point of view as an arrow slices his cheek. They're running their bridge as the Parshendi shoot at them, and one of the bridges near them falls. Kaladin finds himself hating the Parshendi as much as he hates Sadeas and Amaran, as they sing calmly while they fight. Kaladin feels a surge of strength, and the arrows that are shot at him stick into the wooden bridge around him, causing the Parshendi to lower their bows for a moment in confusion. Kaladin has the bridgemen put the bridge down and across the chasm, and he can see the Parshendi raising their bows again, and Sadeas' men were also shooting arrows at the Parshendi. So what do you think about the Parshendi lowering their bows for a moment when the arrows stick to the bridge around Kaladin?
Shots that should be hitting were not. So I mean, like, maybe they could tell what was
He's
happening.
an amazing person, and nobody wants to hit him.
Yeah, his charisma's maxed out.
Yeah.
So Darkness, you were saying you think maybe like, they knew what was happening or something?
Yeah, I feel like they could tell.
Hmm.
So they were like, "Oh fuck no."
So once the bridge is pushed into place, Kaladin calls for the men to move out of the way. Just as Kaladin thinks that everyone is safe, he notices one of Sadeas' arrows sticking out of Dunny's shoulder. Kaladin tries to turn around to help Dunny, but a Parshendi arrow hits him in the side and he falls onto the bridge. The cavalry continue charging, and Kaladin is tackled to the ground by Moash to keep him from trying to save Dunny. Moash says that Dunny is already dead, and Kaladin struggles at first, but eventually gives in. So what do you think about the fact that Sadeas' army is technically what caused Dunny's death, and not the Parshendi?
I mean, we know that's only gonna fucking fuel Kaladin, but you know.
Paladin rage.
Yeah, like Sadeas' archers like care so little about the bridgemen that they don't even care if like their arrows hit the bridgemen instead of the Parshendi.
Which is so fucking dumb, but you know.
So Kaladin moves away to stand off to the side of the plateau, away from the bridges. He tries to distance himself from Dunny's death and focus on the tactics of the battle as the other bridgemen, including Shen, stand next to him in parade rest. However, Dunny's death hurts him too much, so he breaks parade rest and begins to walk towards Bridge 8. Bridge 4 follows him, unsure of what Kaladin is doing. Once at the other bridge, he finds a bridgeman that has an arrow in his leg and begins tending to him, barking orders. Rock mentions that the other bridge crews don't treat them well, but Kaladin says he doesn't care. Dre says that if they save other men, they'll have to feed and care for them, but Kaladin says that no one else, not even the heralds, care about the bridgemen. This causes his men to burst into action to start working on helping the injured man. The injured bridgeman asks Kaladin how he'll walk if his leg is injured, and Kaladin says he'll carry him, and the man thanks Kaladin. So what do you think about Kaladin trying to help the bridgemen that, even the ones that aren't part of Bridge 4?
Well, I mean,
I mean,
it's him.
I could have seen
you know?
that, to be honest.
Yeah. And also, like, I don't know, this. I don't know how to feel about this because it's starting to feel unnatural.
The thing is, the more people Kaladin saves, the more, like, people he's probably gonna lose. Like, if he starts feeling responsible for all the other bridges too, like, he can't save, like, every bridgeman.
Every single one of them. And I feel like Loki in the future, if he does like step up or whatever, gain like a standing back to similar to what he used to be or whatever, and he goes through losing all those people again, I think it's his last straw ever.
Yeah, he's already on like his kind of last legs here, where he's like, I'm gonna try and save Bridge 4, and like this is my like last.
Kaladin is not gonna have a good ending.
You don't think so? You think Kaladin's gonna have a very tragic story?
You know who he kind of reminds me of?
Who?
That one dude from Shardbreaker, the one that Mythic liked.
Oh, Light Song?
Yeah.
Kinda, yeah.
Light Song, but depressed.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think Kaladin would have liked Light Song very much. Light Song was treated too good.
Okay, but like that's just traumatizing.
So Rock and Moash then bring over another wounded man, and Kaladin moves to work on that man's wounds. Tef then brings up what will happen if they find more men than they can carry, to which Kaladin responds that they'll have to come back out with the bridge if they need to leave men behind. Kaladin expects Tef to fight against that, but Tef smiles and says that it's true, which confuses Kaladin, but Tef changes the subject instead of elaborating. Tef asks if Kaladin is keeping a few spears with him, and Kaladin says he is, since he can't leave them in the barracks. Kaladin also says he might need to spend the spears, but Teft insists that Kaladin keeps them for luck. Kaladin also complains about how his spears keep losing Stormlight, to which Teft replies that is odd. Teft also comments how odd it is. Yeah. He also comments how odd it is that they never lose bridgemen on the approach since Kaladin has started running in front. Kaladin asks what Teft is getting at, but Teft changes the subject again.
What are you getting at?
So what do you think about Teft's happiness at Kaladin wanting to save as many bridgemen as possible?
He knows what's going on, bro. There's probably some sort of like fucking prophecy or some shit, or maybe it's just like he's heard of who he used to be, or who knows. But like he knows. Yeah.
Teft knows some shit, dude, and he needs to just come out and say it.
I mean, I feel like if he did, then he would. Kaladin would probably be better off.
It's like, hey Teft, why don't you just say some shit already, dude? Instead of being like fucking just like hinting at things.
Maybe it's forbidden. Maybe he knows that if he says something, it won't go well.
Or you think that maybe he's worried about like influencing what's happening to Kaladin? So Kaladin thinks about how weird Teft is being, but he gets distracted as 3 more injured men are brought to him. Apparently those are the last ones they could find alive, so Kaladin was relieved that they will be able to carry them all, although he thinks that one of them has wounds bad enough that he might not make it. Once he is finished with the injured men, he moves to touch his cheek wound, but is surprised to find that there is no injury. Moash then comes over to talk about him keeping Kaladin from going after Dunny, but Kaladin cuts him off and says he was right to stop him. Moash nods and says that he was wrong about Kaladin. He is an honest man, even though he is foolish. So what do you think about
foolish?
So what do you think about Moash admitting he was wrong about Kaladin previously and like kind of coming around fully to Kaladin's side now? Because like he's been following him, but now he's kind of like, you know what? You really are a good guy.
He's the new Lord Ruler. But I mean, like we figured that it would eventually happen. Well, at least.
Do you have any thoughts, Mythic?
Like I said, like Darkness said, we knew it was going to happen. I knew from the beginning that they were going to have start having people kind of like start what's the word coming to his side. Anyways, like he's going to gather an army of these slaves. So.
So we then move to chapter 54, Gibbletish. The epigraph is, "The burdens of 9 become mine. Why must I carry the madness of them all? O Almighty, release me." Dated Halaheses 1773, unknown seconds pre-death. Subject, a wealthy light eyes. Sample collected secondhand. So what do you think about this epigraph regarding one taking on the burden of 9?
What the fuck do they mean by secondhand?
Well, it means that whoever's writing this down wasn't there when the person died. So like they were given this from someone else who was there when this
So it can
person
be
died.
wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Could be wrong, yes, but it's not.
But if it is,
So considering that this is kind of knowledge that you guys could have, it does seem that this epigraph is relating to the one herald that was sent to damnation to carry the
I figured.
burdens of the oath pact of the other 9 that ditched out on him.
I was gonna say that, but I muted because there was someone in the back.
Yeah, so it seems like almost like this person's talking as if they're like that herald.
Which is crazy to think about if he's still there. You know,
Mhm.
like the poor dude.
I mean, it's very possible he's still there. It sounds like between desolations that's where the heralds generally was in damnation. So considering there's not
Yeah.
currently a desolation, it sounds like
But,
that
like,
guy
alone?
could still be there alone for the last 4,500 years.
That dude is. If he comes out intact, there's no way he comes out intact. But you know. But if by some fucking like magical, mystical like miracle over here, like
Magical,
I
mystical.
feel bad for him.
miracle. The 3 M's.
It's got to be one of them, you know.
So we switch to Dalinar's point of view for this chapter as he makes his way to a feast, knowing that it's cold like winter may be coming. Dalinar knows that the attendance is smaller than normal, and he briefly makes eye contact with Navani before she turns her back to him. Dalinar also notes that he doesn't see Wit around, which, although he usually is insulting the guests as they arrive, he also doesn't like to be predictable.
Mhm.
The other...
I said, haha,
Winter is coming.
Wit is coming.
The other 9 High Princes were also here, but they were cold to Dalinar after rejecting his offer to work together. He then sits down to eat, noticing one woman playing a flute and several other women sketching a man in a competition. So what do you think about how the women also kind of have duels, but their duels are like sketching and other feminine arts, whereas like instead of like actual fighting duels like the men?
Okay, but that's pretty cool.
Mhm.
We're all gonna sketch, and whoever's the best sketcher
Hey,
wins.
you! I challenge you to a flute battle. And all you
To
hear
a
is.
sketch off.
Yeah, they do like sketches, they do like probably music battles. They potentially considering like science and logic is also considered a feminine art. They could also do like maybe like math problems as like a competition.
I imagine they whip out the flutes like when you start a Yu-Gi-Oh duel. And they're on like either side, and they just look at each other and they're like, "It's time to do."
I imagine Shalon.
Duel.
I imagine Shalon like whipping out like her fucking charcoal for like a duel against another woman for sketching.
She would be disqualified for taking screenshots.
This is computer generated. This is not hand drawn.
AI.
Oh no.
AI. That's AI. You're using ChatGPT.
No, it's like you're supposed to be drawing a landscape, but she used a camera. She just took a photograph of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, as his food is served, Dalinar thinks about how Yasna hadn't replied with a response to his visions yet. Navani stated she was going to look into them, but she wasn't as much of a scholar as Yasna, as she mainly focused on Fabrials. Suddenly a man in a black cloak sits down next to Dalinar, and he takes down his hood to reveal that he is Wit. Dalinar expects insults or something, but Wit stays quiet for a moment before stating that the winds are changing. So what do you think about Yasna not getting back to Dalinar? Sorry, wait, what?
Who focuses on Fabrials?
Navani. Apparently Navani is like kind of a scholar like Yasna, but she's more of like she deals with like Fabrial, so all the like stuff that uses gemstones to power stuff.
So she's the one that sabotaged them.
She's like a kind of like an inventor or something. She
No,
focuses
but
on
like
that sort of
you
stuff.
get what I'm
Yeah,
getting at.
I get what you're. But I think the thing is, I don't think she was at the Shattered Plains yet when that happened.
Oh well, we don't know that. She appeared out of nowhere. Like
She did, but it sounds like Dalinar would have heard if she was around, because like Elhokar probably would have mentioned it because it's his mom. So as far as we're aware, I think she showed up like a day or two after Elhokar's fall off the horse.
But if your target is
You think
your
she wants
son,
to kill him so that she becomes queen or something?
you never know. But like if your target is your son, you're not gonna be like, "Hey, I was here like 2 days ago."
That's true. I mean, that's why she's trying to get with Dalinar. She's like, Dalinar's next in line for king after Elhokar.
Right.
If I get together with him, I'll be queen again.
She's like, "I don't need no child."
But yeah, so my question here though was, why do you think Yasna hasn't gone back to Dalinar yet?
She's busy like trying to figure out her love life right now.
Her love life.
She's dead ass she's going through it with her girlfriend. Like
Yeah, she's dead. Yeah, totally.
You say she's dead?
Yeah, she's dead.
Oh shit.
Been killed.
Oh fuck. Okay.
Killing off all the family line.
Oh, that'd be great.
Dalinar is confused as Wit goes on until he mentions the word Adalnasium, which Dalinar does not recognize. Wit says it's nothing, and then mentions how made-up words seem like multiple words stitched together, and says he wonders if you can do the same to people, like a
The moment he
Dizium
said
Amium.
Adonasium, I was like, I know who the fuck this is.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, the moment he said this word, I'm like, the fuck? Of all the things to bring up with, what the hell?
Just out of nowhere, just looks at Dalinar, Adalnasium, and Dalinar's like, excuse me? Like, what?
I feel like he was probing for something. You know, like he was like, if I say this word, he'll know. If he knows, I know he's who I'm looking for. Or
Well,
something,
that's
you
actually
know?
one of
Yeah.
my questions, which I'll bring up now partway through this paragraph instead, is why do you think Hoyd would think Dalinar knows about Adalnasium? Because he's obviously was saying it thinking that Dalinar would know what that meant.
Yeah.
It's like, why do you think he would
Like,
think that Dalinar knows things?
Wait, which one's Dalinar? Dalinar's the one that sees visions, right?
Yes.
He's the God King.
Yeah. So yeah. Maybe he thinks he's seeing something in his visions.
Do you think maybe he's like heard about the visions and he's like, oh, there's some investigator shit going on. Maybe he knows stuff.
Mhm. Yeah, maybe.
Because yeah, out of everyone, Wit's probably the one who's most likely to be like, oh yeah, no, those visions are definitely like a thing, and I probably know how they're being caused.
Yeah, and yet he still has yet to say anything. That's the craziest thing. Fucking Hoyd, bruh. Hoyd, you could literally. Hoyd, you help people in the fucking past. Why wouldn't you help him?
He
He's
also
the most.
He also briefly mentions the Amians who can like change their bodies around because he's like, oh yeah, what if you can like stitch people together like you can words, kind of like these Amian people.
Mhm.
You know, I figured he was gonna do that with since well, first of all, we learned about Wit, and also the fact that he did that little bullshit thing with Kelsier at the pool. So I was like, that's the type of person he would be.
But yeah, so Dalinar then asks about Wit's name, and Wit says he abandoned his real name, but that Dalinar can call him Wit or Hoyd. So yeah, you said you kind of figured out when he said Adalnasium, but were you shocked to learn that Wit and Hoyd are the same person?
No, but I mean, yes, but I also it explains why I like Wit so much.
It's also why I had to be very careful in sending you Wit photos, Wit pictures, because there's a bunch that kind of give away that he's Hoyd. So I was like, when I first showed you guys a picture of Wit, I was like, oh god, how do I find one that doesn't give away that he's Hoyd?
I completely forgot what he looks like.
Yeah, all right.
I can show you.
Realize.
So he's
picture of
actually
him?
dyed his hair here because Hoyd usually has white hair, but he has black hair currently.
I didn't remember we got a picture of Hoyd. To be honest.
Stormlight Archive Wit.
When did we get a picture of Hoyd?
I think when we of Hoyd. I don't remember if I
Yeah.
ever actually showed you a picture of Hoyd,
Yes,
but
we have.
Yeah, I feel like we have, but
probably back in Arcanum Unbounded or something.
It was where he was fighting Kelsier in the pool.
Yeah, that's probably where that makes sense. But yeah, so Hoyd then warns Dalinar that Sadeas is planning something tonight, although he doesn't know what. He then says he's leaving, but that he plans to return if he isn't dead, although he might even if he does die. He also says to apologize to Elhokar for him, and Dalinar knows that Elhokar quite liked Hoyd. Hoyd then says the Cosmere is more important than staying, and for Dalinar to watch himself because he's at the center of things. So what do you think about Hoyd's warning to Dalinar?
Well, first off, if I was Dalinar, I'd been like, how do I watch myself? What do you mean? Do I pull my eyes from my body and what? How do I watch myself? But I think he's talking about his visions or something. I don't know. Watch yourself from your visions or something.
What do you
Or
think,
I mean,
Darkness?
it could also just be careful.
Yeah. Do you think, Darkness, about Hoyd's warning?
Well, technically he is at the center, especially with like that one dude telling him to like unite them and all the fucking like princes or whatever. Like he's literally got to deal with so much shit.
Yep.
I say just marry them all.
Dalinar says a harem of the High Princes.
Harem of High Princes. What a great line.
So once Hoyd was gone, Dalinar has someone go get Adolin for him. As he waits, he notices Sadeas' wife, Eli, has joined Sadeas and Elhokar. Adolin then approaches, and Dalinar tells him that Wit had mentioned that Sadeas was planning something. He asks Adolin...
Hoyd.
Well, I mean, Dalinar
Hoyd
still
men-
refers to him as Wit.
Hoyd mentioned this. You need to tell him Hoyd.
He asks Adolin about the guards he has here as part of his preparations, which Adolin mentions that he has 6 of their men, and that the king's guards here are the ones that are most loyal to Dalinar. So at this point, did you think Sadeas was going to go against Dalinar at the feast like Adolin thought?
I started getting
Honestly,
suspicious there. I was like,
I
so
didn't even think about it.
so okay, it's like this. When when Dalinar went up to him and he was like, "You should just tell us, like right now or whatever, right?"
Mhm.
And Sadia's response with like, "Are you sure? I wanted to do this like in private or whatever." I started getting suspicious of like it's not gonna go the way we thought it was, but
I didn't think anything about
Yeah.
it. I didn't
Yeah.
think anything about it. I was just like, meh,
Yeah.
whatever.
Darkness, you said that you thought that things were gonna go differently than you expected.
Yeah, the only thing that hinted me off was that like Sa- Sadia's final, thing before the chapter ended for there.
Mm-hmm. So Dalinar then gets up to mingle, although he doesn't want to. He approaches High Prince Hatham, who is with two lesser light eyes, an ardent, and then a tan man with bluish skin and white hair. The men are talking about the war between the Tukari and the Amuli, which Dalinar says he thought was a religious war, but the tan man says that all wars are economic in nature, even if the justification or excuse is religion or something else. Hatham also seems to be giving the tan man a lot of respect, which makes Dalinar think that he wants something from the man. It's then mentioned that the war is mainly over a city that the Amuli have as their capital that may have been a Dawn city. Dalinar asks if they have ever heard of Feverstone Keep, but none of them have, so Dalinar lets the topic drop. Eventually, the Ardent and the Natan Man argue a bit over religion before the Natan Man walks off, and Hatham hurries off after him. The Ardent admits to Dalinar that Hatham had wanted him to insult the Natan Man, so that when Hatham agrees easily to his trade deal, it will seem like it's because Hatham was ashamed of the fight, and not because he is eager to do business. So what do you think about no one having heard of Feverstone Keep before, even people who seem to know a lot about history?
It was wiped from existence.
What do you think, Dickness?
Maybe that's not what it used to be called.
You think maybe it was actually called something else, even though he was hearing it as Feverstone Keep? Like maybe that was like a nickname or something that wasn't
Not only
recorded.
that, but it could have just been called, like a nickname, but like it's not the actual fucking thing that it was called back then.
Yeah, like maybe
Or maybe
like
it's just not what it's called now, and people haven't like recognized it as it.
because I'd assume it's called Feverstone Keep as like if it is a nickname. Like he mentions how like all the stone is red, so that's probably like definitely like I could see how that would easily become like a nickname where it's like oh it's like red like when you have fever. But yeah, it's very possible that it went by like a proper name, and so like obviously in the history books you would give it the proper name instead of the nickname if it is mentioned. So before the Ardent leaves, he mentions that he wants Dalinar to know that he has a good opinion of him, just as Hatham wants the Natan man to know he has a good opinion of him. Dalinar is confused by this, especially since Ardents aren't supposed to engage in politics. Adolin then approaches, and Dalinar leads them over to Sadeas and Elhokar. He immediately asks Sadeas about his investigation, and Sadeas replies that he was going to make an announcement later, but Dalinar insists it be brought up now. So why do you think the Ardent was interested in Dalinar so much?
I feel like the Ardent's got this little thing going on in the background, bro. It's some secret organization type of shit, and it's really pissing me off that I have no like more intel on them. And it's like it feels like a mixture of that situation in Warbreaker where we didn't even realize it was the people until we did realize it was the people behind it.
Yeah.
But in more of a they're on the right side this time.
Hmm. So yeah, I mean, it also could be like maybe he's like, because I mean, we know that Cabsel was like pretending to be an Ardent, and he was like not really an Ardent. He was like part of something else. And maybe
Yeah.
this guy's also like involved in something else. Like we really don't know much about the Ardentia. Like we haven't gotten like too much interaction with them.
Can we have like at this point? Fuck. I want to have a list of just the groups that are mentioned and just the people in general. Like the Voidbringers and the
I
fucking
mean, we've got the Voidbringers, we got the Heralds, we got the Knights Radiant, which are all like from
Mhm.
like the past. We've got the Almighty, who apparently gave the powers to the Heralds. And then we have like the religion of the Vorin religion, which is where
Okay,
all
but
the
wasn't there
Ardents are
like some
from.
fucking like Dawnbringers or some shit like that?
So yeah, so the Dawn Singers
There you go.
are apparently the very ancient people who created these like amazing cities and all sorts of things. They were like the I think the people from like potentially even like before the Desolations.
You see, now I'm just like jumbled up again. I don't even remember who's who.
Yeah, so like
Yeah.
there's the
Word.
Dawn Singers and like their the Dawn chant was their language. And then there was like all the different people who like were like fighting in the desolations and stuff. And then there is out of like all the heralds and everything, the Vorn Church came from, and at one point like the Ardents tried to take power, and then the Ardents, because they tried to take power over at one point, they've now been like become like basically property of people. They're not allowed to have like political power and like possessions and anything anymore. And then there's also this group that seems to be who had the Soulcaster originally that Shalon's father had, which we don't know the name of. And then we know the name of another group who may or may not be the group related to the Soulcaster, which is called the Ghost Bloods. Because you guys theorize that maybe they're the same name, the same people, but we don't know. We briefly had a mention of a name called the Ghost Bloods.
I'm gonna need like 4 of those groups to just be erased from history.
I mean, as far as we know, the Dawn Singers don't exist anymore. The Heralds, people currently don't know what the fuck happened to them. We know that at least one of them is in damnation. We have no idea what happened to the other 9. As far as we know, the Voidbringers currently aren't around. And the Knights Radiant have not been around for a long time, but it seems like they might be coming back if, like, maybe Zeth is related to it, or, like, Kaladin's getting powers. Like, they might be coming back. And then whatever shady groups are moving around Shalon are apparently currently around.
Mm-hmm.
You guys are being fucking ridiculous in the fucking chat.
When all I have to do is look up Gojo and then just be like, all right, here you go, because this is literally it's exactly what he looks
You need
like.
to scroll up.
I've been watching.
Yeah, I assumed because I could hear the like break in her voice every so often when I said one of these.
I need to save that as my like background.
What the last one?
Yeah.
I can send you the original picture if you want.
I feel like that wouldn't be Kelsier though, because Kelsier is blonde. That looks more like Lord Ruler.
Oh yeah, you're right. I should have totally made that name instead. Yeah, you're right. Damn. No, what's the one dude's name?
What dude?
The one. So when we met the woman with the gun and then the other guy, what was his name?
Nas?
Nas? Is that what his name was?
Yeah, it was Chris and Nas.
Yeah, it needs to be Nas.
But why does that need to be Nas?
Why
he doesn't like him?
Because that, huh?
Just because he doesn't like Hoyd?
Yeah. Just because he has a beef with Hoyd.
That's actually Ruin and Hoyd. Ruin also not a big fan of Hoyd.
Totally.
That's Addie.
That's totally
Even though Addie's supposed to have red hair.
Yeah, I should totally color it red and then be like.
Or it could be Laris. Preservation.
Who the fuck is Larry?
Laris is preservation.
Oh.
Oh, well, I feel like preservation doesn't have much of a.
Preservation had black hair.
Yeah, but I don't
Preservation doesn't have Dom energy.
I was gonna say definitely doesn't fit him for sure.
Anyways,
If
let's
anything,
go back to the
preservation
actual
would be the one on the left.
Should totally make a new meme.
Oh my god.
Ruin in the bag and fucking preservation.
Anyways, so Sadius hesitates a bit and puts on a dramatic pause, to which Elhokar insists that Sadius gets on with it, before going into talking about the leather strap. He had brought it over and says that he went to 3 different leather workers who all stated that it had been cut. He then brings up how a man wearing shard plate is unlikely to be injured when falling from a horse, so he investigated the king's shard plate and found that 8 of the 10 gemstones were cracked. This then also revealed that the saddle on the horse was switched at some point before they went out on their hunt. Sadius then reveals that he believes that whoever sliced Elhokar's saddle and damaged his shard plate was trying to make it seem like Dalinar was behind this. Dalinar is stunned to find that he was right to trust Sadius, and Adolin is also shocked by Sadius' conclusion. Once the crowd disperses, Dalinar goes up to Sadius, and Sadius seems annoyed that Dalinar was surprised he wanted to try to prove him innocent. Sadius states that what people find annoying about Dalinar is how self-righteous he is, and that he finds it so hard to believe that someone else would want to do the right thing. So were you surprised that Sadius wanted to prove Dalinar's innocence this whole time, apparently?
Yes, but also that made me like him, so that's dangerous. And as soon as I started liking him, he almost fucking died, so.
Now, I'm liking you. Now you're dead.
Mythic, were you surprised that Sadius wanted to prove Dalinar's innocence?
Like I said, I really wasn't. Like, I forgot all about the fact that he had even mentioned something like that being a possibility, and I was like, there's bigger shit to deal with. Who cares?
Okay,
also,
but like.
Sorry.
No, continue.
No, you go ahead.
No, you. Because I don't know if the question's gonna be related to what I was gonna say.
It might not be, so just go ahead.
Oh well, I was gonna go into the fact that like, even if the target was not really her son, as I like, originally think she was trying to go after him,
Hmm.
I'm still on that little
Hmm.
that little possibility. What if her still being it means that the target was actually Dalinar, like it was meant to be?
That wouldn't really make
Mm.
sense if it's like a saddle for Elikar's horse, though.
No, but he explained the fact that Dalinar was supposed to be framed for it, though.
Yeah, it sounds like he was supposed to be. They were trying to frame because like
Yeah.
Elikar's
So
horse was
if you
under
want him out
his.
of the way, right,
Mm.
you do that, and
So you
you
think
try
it
to
was
do a
more
little,
like I'm not actually trying to kill Elikar, but I'm trying to put him in a dangerous enough spot that it looks like someone was trying to
yeah,
kill him?
yeah.
Mhm.
Because I feel like if you can get access to his horse,
Hmm.
you got access enough to break some of the gemstones, like make them faulty.
Hmm.
At that point, you could just like literally sneak in and slit his throat while he's sleeping.
Mm.
But if that's not your target, like,
Mhm.
and somebody else is getting framed, then that's your real target. And like, if you're trying to do a little spicy stuff on the side with them, you never know what your true goal is. Like maybe she feels angry and she feels it might be like somewhat his fault for not being totally there.
When her husband died.
Yeah,
It's all your fault.
you never know.
Very possible.
It'd be great. I'd love that plot twist.
But yeah, my other question was, do you agree that Dalinar looks down on the other high princes so much that he can't see the others can sometimes have good motives?
Yes. I think he believes he's better than everybody, so.
I feel like it's less that and more he's blinded by what he does. And he's so used to people not following what he does as well
Hmm.
that it like clouds the possibility of other people doing similar actions, regardless of who they were.
That was so deep. What? Could you re-say that again? Because that was.
No, I forgot.
Darkness
I was
basically
uh,
said
writing
that.
things down, damn it.
uh-huh.
Go on. Sorry.
I was gonna say he basically said that like Dalinar like is too like kind of like caught up in what he's doing that like he doesn't see like.
You're saying the same thing I am.
I know I'm trying to say it in a way and I can't. My mind's like broken.
I guess I'm saying it's like he got into that routine of him being the only one. So it's difficult to like for him to see anybody else try and do the same stuff
Hmm.
because they haven't at that point. Like not to his level of exposure. Especially if there's always people talking shit about him. Like they're like, he's always doing this and this and this, and like he's just got to keep it to himself and continue doing the best he can. No, I'm just, but yeah, you still don't get it, huh?
No. Confused, but it's okay.
Anyways, Societies continues to rant about how Dalinar thinks himself better than everyone else. He also says he doesn't see how people could think Dalinar tried to have Elhokar killed when he can barely bring himself to kill the Parshendi lately. Dalinar apologizes for how he's treated Sadeas lately, and Sadeas says he's still trying to figure out who tried to have Elhokar killed because he does believe that it was an attempt on Elhokar's life. They then move on to talking about how Dalinar had wanted to end the Vengeance Pact, but had then moved on to trying to finish the war by working with the other High Princes, but they had all rejected him. Dalinar then suggests that they work together. Sadeas rejects this at first, but Dalinar says they could try new tactics, and it could potentially lead to Sadeas getting a shard blade. Dalinar also suggests splitting the gemstones 2/3 to Sadeas and 1/3 to himself. He also says the first set of shards they get, Sadeas gets the blade, but Renarin gets the plate. Sadeas then agrees. So what were your first thoughts about Sadeas agreeing to work together with Dalinar?
What's the question?
I thought it was gonna go on.
I said the question was, what do you think about Sadeas agreeing to work together with Dalinar?
Oh, okay. I think you wanted to go first.
No, go ahead.
Well, at that point, I didn't expect him to actually do it, but when he did, I was like, he just made an announcement where he packs up Dalinar, and the person who, like, whoever is sabotaging or whatever is not gonna be happy. He's gonna get targeted. But also, like, Dalinar got a new boyfriend.
Jesus Christ.
At least it's not Storm Daddy.
Okay, what was the original question?
What were your first thoughts about Sadeas agreeing to work together with Dalinar?
Okay. So originally I thought like he was gonna use it like an ulterior motive and he was gonna try to like backstab him in the end.
Hmm.
That's just because that's how I feel like for every Light Eyes. So I'm definitely with him on that. Light eyes are terrible people.
Kaladin's
Yeah.
convinced you.
Oh well, yeah. I mean, literally, his backstory convinced me.
Yeah.
The man who's like, oh, I'll be nice to everybody, and then like the moment you see power, just a glimpse of power, you're like, all right, well, backstab everybody now.
Let me just kill you all off and make you a slave.
Yeah, and then to hear later, which we'll get to, I'm sure, hear later about how he's literally probably within reach of the man who fucked him over. I'm like, I really want him just to murder him. Go
With
up and be
Amram
like,
coming to the Shattered Plains apparently sometime soon.
you know, like, just kill him, please.
That's gonna be fun times. Because Amram's technically part of Sadius's like people. It's like a lesser noble under Sadius, so he's gonna be like in Sadius's camp too. But yeah, so we'll move on to chapter 55, which is called an Emerald Brome. First of all, we get picture the start of this, what seems to be some sort of fabrial device.
I had certain thoughts about that that I
Oh,
probably should not say in the podcast.
what do you mean? It's like a gun but with knives.
Yeah, shoots knives. Yeah, totally. Be a pretty
Uh,
decent gun.
So yeah, we get our epigraph, which is a woman sits and scratches out her own eyes. Daughter of Kings and Winds, the Vandal. Dated Palaheven 1173, 73 seconds pre-death. Subject a beggar of some renown, known for his elegant songs. So what do you think of this woman, the Vandal?
Well, she's definitely into Valorant.
Woman the Vandal? Is that what you said?
You know,
Yeah.
they
So
are putting a lot of like titles in this.
yeah, so it says
The
a
beginning of
woman
the
sits
story.
and scratches out her own eyes. Daughter of
Yeah,
Kings and
great.
Winds, the Vandal.
Yeah, great. I'm so happy that she's scratching her own eyes out. Why did you have to write that down? This was a epigraph, right?
Yeah.
Did it have a date, a death date? Like a
Yeah,
death sentence?
it was dated
Okay.
Palaheven 1173, 73 seconds pre-death. The subject was a beggar of some renown, known for his elegant songs. Yeah. So if you have no thoughts about the epigraph, we'll
I
move
wanted
on.
to
None of these
I-
epigraphs, to be honest.
honestly, yeah, I wanted to like make something about it, and I was thinking at the beginning, I'm like, what if it was like the sharp, like the sharp blade, like fucking her up because it does some stuff with the eyes,
Yeah, it burns
but
out their eyes.
but like, why the fuck would she be scratching her eyes when they're burning, or they're like already burnt out? Like what? Maybe it's visions. Maybe she's getting visions too. Maybe these are all people who can use the investiture the same way that Kaladin and Dalinar can, and they're just dying.
So we move to Kaladin's point of view, a week after Dunny died. Currently, they were on another bridge run, and they had arrived before the Pashendi, although Sadius's men were getting surrounded. However, as it looks like it was going badly, Rock points out Dalinar's army approaching with siege tower-like bridges, pulled by Chulls. Moesh calls Dalinar an honorable Light Eyes, but Kaladin snorts and says he'll tell them about Amaram sometime, then learns that Amaram is apparently on his way to the Shattered Plains. Kaladin and the rest of Bridge 4 are surprised to see that Dalinar seemed to be coming to join Sadius in the fight. Kaladin also notes how Dalinar and his son jump ahead of the soldiers as their bridge is being lowered to protect the bridge and distract the Parshendi. Moash goes on about how much he wishes he had been in Dalinar's army, but Kaladin thinks that Amran had also had a similar reputation, although he does remember Dalinar's son Adolin helping out the whore a while ago. So do you think Kaladin is going to meet Dalinar at some point in this book?
100%.
Especially now considering that Sadius and Dalinar are working together?
Yeah,
Honestly, we also got to think about pacing, so it might not even be in this book.
I think it might be like in the next book.
Maybe they'll end off it like it in this book.
You said yes, Mystic, I think is what you said?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I definitely think at some point. I mean, it could be this book, another book.
I think we've got like a little less than 300 pages left of this book. Or like 250
Yeah,
pages
we
left.
know for sure they're gonna meet. They have to, unless they die. But, like still.
Unless one of them dies, yeah.
No, but he can't die because he hasn't met Kaladin yet, and everyone
Mm.
that Kaladin, meets.
Paladin?
Oh yeah, only the people Kaladin knows die.
Yeah, exactly. Oh.
So we then skip forward to later in the day to Bridge 4 down in the chasms. Even though they had just been on a bridge run, Hashal had forced them to do their afternoon work as well. Kaladin had forgone spear training because of the bridge run, and instead they were trying to stock up on salvage so they could focus on spear training other days. Today they had found a light-eyed officer with a bunch of spears on him, including an emerald brome. Kaladin knew they couldn't keep the emerald brome as no one would accept it from bridgemen and they'd be reported. However, he tries to think of a way to keep the other lesser spears. Kaladin also blurts out that he had 100 diamond brones at one point, which shocks Moash, but Kaladin quickly switches the conversation. He and the others go back to salvaging from a large group of corpses that Syl had helped open a rock find. Kaladin also notices Shen working diligently off to the side. So what do you think about the bridge? About how the bridgemen can find all of this money, but even if they could get it out of the chasms without being caught, it would be too suspicious to even use it.
I mean, this is the whole situation with the spheres and all that shit that was happening down in the chasms, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, like my delusional ass would have still tried to cap that fucking emerald sphere with it, or whatever.
Right? Keep that sphere, honestly.
Also, technically, if you got an emerald, bro, whatever, right?
Yeah.
And you do try to solve it, and you succeed. Why the fuck would you go to the restroom at the restroom area where it's being like, you know,
Where you're
like,
being watched.
yeah.
Yeah, it's like, no. I'm gonna take my shits all down the chasms from now on. I'm gonna wait till we go down to the chasms to take shits.
At this point, I would be like, hey, y'all, I'm gonna shit in the fucking barracks, and I'm gonna give you a split of the fucking money if you let me.
Just ignore me shitting in the corner over here.
It's for a good cause.
So Maps then begins trying to get Sigzil to tell them a story since he's a world singer, which annoys Sigzil as he says he isn't a storyteller, but someone who spreads information about cultures and people. He gives in eventually and asks what they want to hear about, and Kaladin asks if there is a city built into gouges in the ground. Sigzil replies that the city Kaladin is speaking of is the capital of Emul, and that people say it was built by the king of the heralds, Yezrien, whom the Alethi also called the Stormfather. Sigzil then goes on to talk about how the gouges in the ground protect the city from the high storms, and they had drainage cracks to help filter water down into the city. They also don't allow foreigners to own homes there, but they are very friendly and will allow anyone respectful to join them for meals in their own homes. They also worship Yezrien as the only god. So what do you think about Sigzil's knowledge of the different cultures and peoples of Roshar?
I mean, honestly, I can't tell. Well, I mean, like, he obviously doesn't want to be called like a fucking jester or a storyteller or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he's just a bard. Like,
He's like a history bard.
Yeah. Oh no.
Sit here and wait. Sit here and wait.
I think, what do you think about Sigzil's knowledge of all the different cultures and people of Roshar?
He's well. If we hadn't known that gotten known that Wit was actually Hoyd, I probably would have thought he was Hoyd. Mr. Storyteller over here.
Mr. Sigzil. Sigzil, I feel like he's a little too like serious to be Hoyd.
Yeah, but wasn't Hoyd also the one in Shardbreaker, right? The very first book we read that was giving her the story and all that.
Yeah, he was.
So I mean,
he's still kind of been always more like playful and stuff. I feel like Sigzil has a very kind of like serious kind of personality. Definitely seems like a job Hoyd would want though. The title of World Singer. Surprised he decided to go with the King's Wit instead.
Wait, you're implying that he can choose?
Well, I mean, he just goes to a planet and then he's like gets a job.
But okay, so we're talking about a guy who is a slave, right?
Oh no, I'm talking Hoyd. I'm saying Hoyd can choose his job.
Yes, but I'm just saying, but we're talking about the guy who is.
Sigzil's currently a slave. Right?
Yeah, is a slave. So why would Hoyd come into this world and go, "Hey, I'm just gonna be a slave"? Don't you kind of have to almost be like forced into that?
Yeah, no, you do. I'm just saying their personalities don't match to be a slave for him to be Sigzil.
Yeah, but I mean, he's a storyteller, so.
Yeah. I'm saying definitely that the job of World Singer would suit him. But yeah. So as Sigzil continues speaking of the Emuli, Kaladin is shocked that the city he had flown over in his dream was real. This, along with how fast he was healing, made him think that something was going on with him. Kaladin then continues going through the pockets of the corpses and wonders if he can bribe Bridge 4's way out of the war camps, but knows they would still be chased down by Sadeas' soldiers. Sigzil continues on about how the Emuli prefer to fight from a distance, and that the Shin think that having to fight at all is a loss. Scar asks if Sigzil is going to refuse to fight like Rock does, but Sigzil replies that he will fight. So what do you think about the fact that it seems Kaladin's dream of flying over Roshar had real places that he had never heard of before?
Real places, right? This is the one place they asked about where it was like in the dip of whatever, and
it's in like the gouges. So both the Ardent during the feast was talking about it, and now Sigzil's talking about it. And so like Kaladin had like that dream where he like flew over. He saw Szeth killing those people at the feast during that one epigraph. and then he apparently saw this city as well. Like that isn't really stuff he knew about. Like, he shouldn't have known that Zeth was off killing this fucking high prince in Yakaved.
Yeah.
He apparently shouldn't know about like this city that he'd never heard of before existing.
Sorry, I had to get good food.
Mhm.
Okay, what was the question? Sorry.
We're talking about how Kaladin's dream when he flew over Roshar seems to have a lot of like real life stuff that he wouldn't have known about.
Speaking of Roshar, by the way,
Mhm.
where's Roshar at?
What do you mean, where's Roshar?
What is you said he was flying over Roshar? Like,
Roshar is the like continent. So
is the
like
continent that they're on right now?
so the planet is also called Roshar. Roshar only has one continent. It's like a Pangea.
Mm-hmm.
And so like both the planet and the continent are called
Or
Roshar.
Roshar. Okay, so I have this theory. It's a wild theory. That the Parshendi, right?
Mm.
This is what kind of where that meme came from, by the way. I have this theory that the Parshendi are probably the good people, that they're defending everybody else, or defending against these intruders coming to their thing. That somewhere down the line, so we had met the world hoppers or whatever that came in. They were looking for somebody, right? That was their
Yeah,
story,
yeah.
right? I'm not.
Yeah.
Okay.
They were looking for Hoyd.
Yeah. They had came here and they were looking. So what if a long time ago somebody had did the same thing, and it created what is now this new faction of bunch of people, and the Parshendi are just trying to defend their own home.
You think like the Parshendi are like the main peoples here, but they like got overtaken by the humans a long time ago type thing?
Mm-hmm.
It's very
Also,
possible.
I mean, I also think they're technically human, but sure.
They seem to be humanoid. They're not specifically human. They seem to be like humanoid crustaceans kind of peoples.
I still think they're human.
They're
'Cause they
definitely
look
not like
different.
just human. They're definitely
They are definitely human. I don't know what you're talking about.
they're humanoid.
We live in a world of magic. They're human. We're human with different skin, all right? Don't be racist.
I thought you said they're Cuban with different skin.
Cute.
Cuban? No. But
I
no,
mean, they definitely fit in. Crab animals, crab people.
yeah, I think they're the like original people of this continent, and then the other people that are kind of intruding into that.
So America.
Yeah, pretty much. And then do we know what? Because there's a god in every one of these places. Do we know which god?
We
or
have
whatever
not been
is
told the
this?
names of the
Okay.
gods yet. You've had a lot of theories about what the name of like kind of the main god is here. We also know that it sounds like Odium is here, but he's not originally from here. Like he's not like the main god of this world, but he's like showing up or something.
Yeah, but what are the gods that we know?
So the gods that are, I think the only god you know that's unassigned currently is cultivation. I think
Really?
that's the only one from
Oh, we have
you got from Arcanum Unbounded that has not shown up yet.
I mean, it could fit.
You also thought that there was a potentially a god like related to like Os or something based on
That could
like some
also
of
fit.
the
I'm gonna think of some new names. How many gods have we gotten so far?
here, let me count them out. So there's 16 total. You've gotten
Eight?
so there's
Yeah.
Dominion
You gotta
and
think about the
Devotion.
alloys too.
There's Endowment. There is Preservation and Ruin. There was.
Wait, I didn't realize I was a god. Endowment. I didn't realize I was a
Shut
god.
the fuck up.
There's Autonomy. There was.
4, 5, 6.
So there's Odium, who we don't know if he has like his own planet, because like we know he's gone around. He like splintered some of the shards, and like he seems like he might be nearby. And then there was, what was the name of the one that got splintered near Threnody? It also started with an A, but it wasn't Autonomy. Was it Ambition?
Ambition?
Yeah,
It
it might
was
have been
ambition. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was.
So I think those are all the ones, because we
those
got
ones
2
they
from Elantris, we got Warbreaker, Mistborn, White Sand, and Shadows for Silence. Six of Dust does not have a shard, and then Odium's kind of just been around. And then we have the name Cultivation, which was mentioned by Chris in Arcanum Unbounded, but we were not told where Cultivation is from. So we've got 7 shards that we don't know the name of currently.
And we have. Okay, wait. And then we have what was this? I can't remember what it was. I'm pretty sure the last podcast, the last episode, we were talking about somebody else, something else though.
That's what I'm saying. I think you guys have been like talking about like
Like
a potential other shard here, but that
no,
you
okay.
don't.
So way back when, what's his name? The guy who's getting visions all the time. Like
Dalinar?
Down there.
Dalinar. Okay, he was in a vision or something. I'm pretty sure, and something came up. I don't know why. Okay, the word honor came up. I'm pretty sure, or
There
something to
has
that
been
extent.
the word honor has been capitalized a few times
Yeah, and
throughout.
that's what it was. Because I can't see capitalization. You had said something about it being capitalized. I feel like honor is a god.
Mm,
Like, like he's the opposite maybe of odium or whatever the weird god in this one is.
hmm Well, we know that.
Um,
So we know that Odium has been going around. He's the one who splintered Dominion and Devotion, and he splintered Ambition. I think along with like Autonomy and him worked together to get rid of Ambition. So we, as I said, like we don't know if like we don't know exactly where like he's from, or even if he has his own planet or ever has had one. Currently, all we know is that he's been going around killing other shards, and that it sounds like he's somewhere around here because we've had some of that epigraph letter talking about him.
okay,
I'm
so
I'm gonna go ahead and just say that I'm not going on that train of honor being a god, considering that I feel more that there's different aspects of, you know how there's the 5 different code things or whatever. I feel like
Mm-hmm.
each one is their own aspect, and all of them derive from a single god.
Mm-hmm. So the god that they likely all derive from is they currently call the Almighty. We just don't know what the actual shard's name would be.
Hmm.
Where Mythic thinks it's honor. I think you guys at the past said like it might have something to do with like Os
odium.
or something.
Yeah, oaths. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
There was something in the book about like oaths, wasn't there?
There's the Oath Pact, which is what the Heralds were a part of, which is what basically they've been using to keep the Voidbringers at bay and why they kept going back to Damnation.
Which is a pact they did with Odium.
We
Like,
don't know what the pact
no,
was.
because
I think it was to
well,
like
yeah,
we don't have a lot of information. I'm trying not to give away stuff because we learn more about the
yeah.
Oath Pact in later books. Um,
Hmm.
but the Oath Pact, but what we know is basically there's a thing called the Oath Pact. They broke the Oath Pact when the rest of the Heralds did not go back to Damnation with that one guy. They're like, maybe the one guy can hold the Oath Pact on his own, but we're kind of breaking the Oath Pact here. And we know that the Heralds were given their power by the Almighty, whatever the shard is that is the Almighty.
We also got information that some fucking like pact or like some deal with Odium was being broken currently. It was through,
I'm trying to look at the letter quickly.
I don't know if it was towards Kaladin or if it was towards Dalinar. I don't remember. I think Kaladin had it. I don't know. But like it was like, this has been broken. Like, you fucked up. I think it was Storm Daddy talking to Kaladin.
Oh yeah, the Stormfather. Well, Kaladin thinks it's potentially the Stormfather that talks to him at one point during the High Storm.
Yeah.
Where would that be? I think actually that might have been. Was that potentially where we got the capital honor? I think he might have. I think did the Stormfather potentially say honor is dead?
It could have been like Child of Honor or something like that.
He does call Kaladin Child of Honor, Child of Tanavast.
Keep thinking you're gonna say Canada.
What do you mean?
Kind of best. Canada. Yeah, nice.
Uh,
She's biased. That's why she's biased to Canada.
That's should be somewhere just before this chapter. Shalom point of view. Teft. Kalen's eyes snap open. Okay, so Kalen. Oh, that's when Kaladin just sees the face. So it's during the dream that he. Oh, here we go. The voice says, "Child of Tanavast, child of honor." Yeah, so capitalized honor there. Child of one long since departed. The oath pact was shattered. Men ride the storms no longer. The oath pact is broken. Child of honor, Odium comes. Most dangerous of all the 16. You will go now. Odium reigns.
Here, wait. So, who is this to?
This is to Kaladin in his dream after he has the dream of flying over Roshar. So at the end of his dream, he hears like this loud booming voice that, yeah, calls him Child of Honor and Child of Tanavast. And then he mentions how the Oath Pact was shattered and that Odium is here.
So, in my head canon, honor and odium against each other. So, odium might be the ruin of this book, and honor might be the preservation.
Yeah, it sounds like maybe if Honor is the other shard, it sounds like maybe Odium's coming to kill him next. Like he's killed 3 other shards. Maybe Honor's his next target.
Well, here's the other thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
What if, because the other one that we don't know is cultivation, right?
Yeah, we know the name Cultivation, but we have no idea where Cultivation is from.
What if honor and cultivation are the 2 gods of Roshar, and then Odium is another god, kind of like what Ruin was trying to do, that broke away from their duo or whatever, and is now trying to come to attack and shatter all of them as well.
Yeah, I mean maybe Odium was like Ambition's double or something.
Yeah.
And he like broke away from Ambition, and Threnody now is coming to. He took over Dominion of Devotion. Now he's coming for Honor and Cultivation.
Like the idea, I like this idea, but I would switch Honor with just an Oath God in general.
Okay. When I say honor, in my head right now. Honor is just the name of whatever this god is. It could be Oath or whatever it is.
Yeah, he's just going with that because that's like the capitalized word we've been seeing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's definitely the most likely scenario based on what you guys have so far, just because that word has been capitalized.
I'm gonna have to make another real big brain theory coming up, I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. Something that's gonna come up and then you're gonna be like, I don't understand how you knew this, and hoping that happens again.
All right, so do you guys have anything more you want to say about that, or should I keep going?
I don't know what the original question was, so.
We kind of went over it already. We were talking about Kaladin's dream.
I gotcha.
Yeah, so Kaladin then gets an idea for using a bow and arrow, but Sigzil replies that he hasn't used one before, and the other bridgemen reply they haven't found any down here. Kaladin then mentions gathering up the spears and keeping them down here before Syl shows up, saying she had found a group of Parshendi bodies. Kaladin asks if they had any bows, and Syl replies that she thinks they did. The bridgemen seem kind of gawk at Kaladin speaking into the air for a moment before nodding and understanding at who he is speaking with. So what do you think about the fact that all of Bridge 4 now seems to know about Syl?
I mean, when you talk to yourself, I would assume that eventually word gets around.
It was fucking hilarious when they were just nodding at each other and shit.
Like,
I just love that he's like talking to them, and then they're all like, they look over like, what? Oh, never mind. Okay, go back and do what we're doing.
I just imagine that, like, because Rock can see her, he's just, like, people have just been seeing Kaladin, like, in the past, like, just talking to air, and they're like, oh god, he's crazy, isn't he? And he's like, Rock's like, no, he's talking to a beautiful spren. Because he's, like, very respectful of her and everything, right? So he's just like, no, it's this little spren he's talking to. I promise he's not crazy. Now they've all just accepted it. He's also showed him Lope and Syl specifically last time they were down in the chasms.
What if... Oh, God, I have a huge theory, but I'm trying to put it together. Because I'm trying to figure out, because Syl continues to state things like about Kaladin being truthful and all of these things, like to stick to, like, what's the best way to say it? An honorable path, I guess. I'm almost wondering if Syl is some way attached to honor, oath, whatever you want to call the god, or even bigger brain. What if Syl is like a infiltrator for the fucking what the fuck is
for Odium?
Watching Kaladin.
What if Syl is the fucking god?
What if Syl is honor, oath, however you want to call it, or Odium? That'd be crazy.
So is Odium. Well, Syl had a very like intense reaction to just the word itself. No?
Yeah, remember she like kind of hissed and got angry when the word Odium was brought up.
She was like, "Don't call me that. Only my real friends call me that."
What are you saying, Mythic?
Maybe it was because he got close to it. Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm gonna keep coming up with this theory.
All right. So they walk over to the place where Syl had found, which had a cluster of Parshendi and Colon soldier corpses. When Kaladin pushes over one of the Parshendi bodies, Shen hisses, and Teft had to hold him back as he tried to push his way up to Kaladin. Kaladin says to let Shen go, and Shen instantly moves to stand between Kaladin and the Parshendi bodies. Sigzil then explains the one thing Parshmen seem to care about is their dead. Kaladin says they need to search through the Parshendi and asks Teft to hold back Shen, but tells the others to be respectful of the dead because it bothers him. Shen seems to accept what is happening and allows himself to be pulled away. So what do you think about Shen's reaction to Kaladin moving the bodies of the dead Parshendi?
It's just fucking, like, kind. Of course he's gonna be mad about it or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, what? Until after this, a little bit after this, when Kaladin kind of stands up for him, I was like, the fuck are y'all doing, man?
Right. I felt so
Unfortunately,
bad,
yeah, I was like,
especially
unfortunately,
when
doesn't
he
want
said
to touch.
like that it's one of the only things they were allowed to do was tend to their dead.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. Well, it was one
I
of the
was
only things
like,
they were allowed to do, but
ouch.
it was really more like the only thing they seemed to ever care about is what Sigil says. He's just like the
Mm-hmm.
Parshmen just basically never seem to like care about anything except for they very very much care about tending to their dead, and so like people just kind of let them do it because they're like, okay, sure. So, yeah, they don't seem to like people other than other Parshmen touching their dead. What were you saying, Nithik?
Oh no, I was just saying that until Kaladin stood up, yeah, Kaladin stood up for him. Was like thinking how terrible these people were.
Mm-hmm. So with the Parshendi bodies, they found a bow and a broken string, and then a spare string in the pouch of one of the other Parshendi. Kaladin asks if anyone knows how to string or use a bow, but no one seems to know how to. Kaladin keeps the bow string and some spare arrows anyways. They then continue searching the corpses until it starts to become dark, and then they head back. Kaladin notes that Shen is keeping his head down and seems upset, and Kaladin wonders if he can use this somehow. As they walk under one of the permanent bridges, Kaladin suggests shooting a bag of lesser spheres up to the bridge so that during a bridge run, Lopin or David can grab the bag of spheres. Sigil doesn't want to be the one to try shooting a practice arrow, and Teft agrees to try, saying it shouldn't be that hard. However, Rock begins listing all of the difficult
Couldn't be
parts of
that
it,
hard.
but such as not shooting an arrow out and alerting the scouts, and hitting the arrow with the heavy bag of spheres close enough to the side of the bridge that it could be grabbed. Kaladin thinks that Rock knows more about using a bow than he lets on, so he goes on about how they need to try anyway because they need the spears, and eventually Rock gives in and asks for the bow.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think
Give
about
me the
Kaladin?
bolt.
What do you think about Kaladin tricking Rock into admitting that he knows how to use a bow and arrow?
Ah, it was so funny. And then I feel like he's gonna go against the one thing he said he wouldn't do.
Mm.
He's gonna end up having to shoot somebody.
Like, yeah, that would make sense, especially if it's like during their time to like break out.
So Rock sends a practice shot at the walls of the chasm before telling Kaladin that they can only send 5 spheres up, otherwise a bag will be too heavy. Kaladin agrees and takes out 5 sapphire marks. Scar notes that this is stealing, and although he doesn't feel bad about it, if one of them goes to Gaz, they'll be in a lot of trouble. However, Kaladin says that they can't distrust each other, although he does agree to let Syl watch the men without the men knowing. Rock then sends the arrow with a small bag of spears up, and it catches in the bridge above, not falling down from the weight as Kaladin feared. Rock then tells Kaladin that he won't fight with the bow and arrow. Kaladin replies that he won't ask that of him. Kaladin then asks Lopin about the rope and his cousin that he had brought up earlier, and Lopin says he can get the rope. Earless Jax asks about how many cousins Lopin has, and Lopin replies that you can never have enough cousins.
Mm-hmm.
So why do you think Rock hid the fact that he could use a bow and arrow, especially when he's so good with
I
it?
doesn't want Kaladin to use it. Use that knowledge and be like, hey, go murder some people for me.
Rock doesn't want to fight.
Also,
Yeah.
maybe he wasn't supposed to know
Hmm.
because of the placement of like what, like
Yeah, because he talks about how
Sundays
like
or
the
whatever.
type of the like order you're born in determines what you do. And so I
Mm-hmm.
don't I think he said like 4th son and below become like soldiers, and he's like a 3rd son or something like that.
I think he's fourth son. I think everything after is like soldiers.
It was something like that. He was definitely not the 1st or 2nd son. I know
Yeah,
that. And then it was like he was like one above becoming a soldier. But maybe the reason he knows how to use a bow and arrow is because maybe he like lost a sibling. Maybe he was like a 4th or 5th son, and then like one of his older siblings died, so he became like higher up in the ranks. I don't know. I honestly don't remember how
what if that is how that
learned.
works? And he wasn't the fourth son; he was the fifth.
Mm-hmm.
So he was a soldier, but he got moved up.
That's literally what I just said.
Yeah, right.
No, but like
Because yeah, I don't remember. I'm pretty sure Rock gives an explanation. I don't know if it's in this book,
for
but I know
some
Rock
reason,
gives an explanation at
I
some point.
I switched the soldier children to
Mm.
first and second.
You know, I think
Mm.
1st and 2nd were cooks,
Like
or like 2nd.
yeah,
I don't remember.
no, I
There was
thought
like
they were farmers and stuff.
oh, they might no that I think you're thinking of the Shin. The Shin. The Shin are the ones who like their highest ranked people are farmers.
I don't fucking know.
I don't know. Both the Shin and the Horniers have like this like society that like the way you're ranked is like your job. Anyways, chapter 56, That Storming Book. So our epigraph is, light grows so distant, the storm never stops. I am broken, and all around me have died. I weep for the end of all things. He is won. Oh, he has beaten us. Dated Palahakev 1173, 16 seconds pre-death. Subject, a Thalen sailor. So what do you think it means by he has won?
Well,
Honestly, like I said, oh, go ahead, go Darkness.
if they made a pact with Odium or whatever, right?
Hmm.
It's because they had no fucking choice. Otherwise, they would have just obliterated him. So technically, in a way, he won because they couldn't do anything against him.
You think they're like forced into like agreeing to something with Odium, and then like
Yeah.
it
Mhm.
both like saved them, but also like fucked them over.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that's why. It would make sense if that's what happened, and then they stopped fighting, and that's why they like dropped all the shard plates and all that stuff in that one vision. And also, like, why everything known back then is kind of just gone now,
Mm.
because there's no reason for it to like keep going if there's already like a way out.
What do you think, Mythic?
Thinking about what Darkness said, because that sounds really cool. Gonna go with what Darkness said, to be honest. Better than what I thought of. I've just not been really paying any attention to these epigraphs. I probably should, but
You definitely should.
I definitely don't.
It's like how
I
in the first Mistborn book, you guys were like, I don't understand why any of this matters, and then it's like it all
Okay,
matters.
Okay, but those had more fucking meat to them than
yeah,
this
they
does.
really did. Like, this is just this man died. Was his last words. This was his last action. This was the blah blah blah. You know, like I'm like, okay. I'm still stuck on trying to figure other things out. So
I
I'm trying to make a big theory here.
know you are. I
You
love
said
it. I love the
Roshar is
big theories.
I feel like didn't we get a a map of the Cosmere of all of the areas that we were going to?
We got in Arcanum Unbounded every time we read a short story about a specific planet. We got like their solar system.
Was this one? Did we get this one's solar system?
No,
or
so
no?
remember we did not read the Rosharan
Oh,
short
so we
story
didn't
because
get
it
any of these. Damn it! I want to know what the fucking
yeah
shit looks like.
because the Rosharan short story is between book 2 and 3 is where it's set. So after book 2. I mean I can possibly let me see if I can. I don't think the solar system picture has any spoilers. I can see if I can make sure and grab that.
Please, I want to see the solar system because I have a big theory. You said what
Try
was
and
the
find
solar
a
system called? No.
yeah the
The
Rosharan
planet is
system.
Roshar. Okay, so the planet is Roshar. The city is Roshar.
Well, all of the systems is they name
Or
them
continent.
after like the main planet that has life. Like the Celish system is the system where Cell
So,
is, and like
so there could be a planet that has no life.
if there's a solar system that has no life anywhere and like no shards, they just don't like they're not going to be brought up because they don't like Chris has only
Well, no,
been
but what I'm
invested.
saying is like there could be a solar system where they have multiple planets, one of which might not have life, right?
Oh yeah, a lot of the solar systems have extra planets that have no life on them. So this is the Rosharan solar system.
God damn!
Oh, there's a lot of fucking planets in this.
Yeah. So they
All
have
over
3
the planet,
inner
right?
planets, and then they have 10 outer planets, which are all named after one of the heralds, I
And
believe.
who are the heralds? What are the heralds again?
The heralds are like the 10 original heralds are like the ones who had like each of them had like the
Is
special.
that the sword thing?
Yeah, they had like the special
The
blade,
sword
and that they were the ones part of the Oath Pact, and like there's like a lot about with them, and like they swear by the heralds, and like also like the if you can see like the names of the 10 outer planets are like they're like shortened they're like part of the herald's name, and those parts of the word are also used in like their days of the week and stuff like that.
What is Braze?
Braze is one of the inner planets. There's Ashen, Roshar, and Braze are like the 3 inner planets.
Yep. And then what's this? A sun in the middle, right?
Yeah, the sun, and then there's the
Like
3
Ashen
moons
looks
around
like
Roshar.
literally nobody.
Which planet?
Roshar's the second
Oh,
one.
it's right there.
Roshar's the center of these
Yeah,
three.
it has the 3 moons. So I believe the Rosharan system's kind of similar to ours, where it has like the rocky planets on the inside of the asteroid belt, and then I think all of the ones outside are like gas giants. And the symbols on each of those planets are like the symbol that represents each herald, or like the glyph that represents that herald's name. Yeah, so that's the Rosharan system. It doesn't have any spoilers, so I'm happy to show you guys that because you have all the other. I think that's the last planetary system you guys hadn't seen that is out currently.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's out currently? Oh.
Well, because there's been a
Are we
few
almost done with
books.
this?
The
God.
Secret Project books, a couple of them are from planets that are not mentioned in Arcanum Unbounded. They're from new planets that we haven't seen before, and so those don't have solar system like charts yet. We only have the charts from the stories from before Arcanum Unbounded, like from Arcanum Unbounded. Yeah, I like the Rosharan system.
Oh.
Pretty. Got a fuck ton of planets.
A lot of planets.
Like 80% aren't usable though.
Yeah. we don't know, because I know that I'm not going to go through the system essay because we'll go through that after the second book when we do the short story, but I know in some of them they mention in the system essays that like some of these planets are habitable. Even if they're not currently habitated, they like would be habitable. People could get to them. I don't remember if any of the other 2 planets before the asteroid belt are habitable or not.
I feel like the one isn't Ashen or whatever because
Ashen,
way
you
too
think is
close
like
to
too
fucking sun.
close?
Too close to that sun.
Mm.
But I mean, then again, we also have the one. What's the fucking? What was the one from the sandy place? What's that one?
Oh, Taldan?
Yeah, that's always in the sun, and then the other side is always in the dark.
That's
And like
because they
the
have
smaller
6
sun.
suns.
They got 2
Yeah, whatever.
suns, and they're it's like tidally locked to the suns.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't one of those suns have like jelly around it or something?
Isn't it jelly? There was like what is it called again? Haldane system picture.
I like how we just are going on a tangent now. I love this.
It has
What do you mean? It's totally jelly.
the particulate ring. It has the particulate ring around it.
It's jelly. Got it.
It's not jelly.
A
That shit
jelly
is
ring.
jelly.
Gotcha. It's just a big jelly donut.
Anyways, let's go into this chapter here. So we switch to Dalinor's point of view as he's fighting the Parshendi while riding Gallant, feeling the thrill within him. The Parshendi were coming at him in pairs, trying to disorient him by coming from different directions, but Dalinor easily killed them with his shard blade.
Because he's a
Dalinar-
boss.
Dalinor fought a bit ahead of his soldiers, as shard blades were long, and thus the Shardbearer needed more space to not kill his own men. The thrill strengthened and excited him as he killed, and he is shocked to notice that one of the Parshendi seems to be a woman. The Parshendi begin to retreat to regroup, and Dalinar gets off of Gallant and heads back over to his men, the thrill fading. He tells Teleb to have Gallant brought to the back, as the Parshendi were getting too close to him while fighting. As they regroup, Dalinar glances at the Parshendi and wonders if the pairs that they thought were masters and apprentices were actually husband and wife pairs. Dalinar thinks that they gave up trying to learn about the Parshendi when the war started, and decides to have a few bodies brought back to their scholars to look at. So what do you think about the fact that the Parshendi may be fighting with their spouses in battle?
That'd be awesome. But also sad, because that's sad.
I mean, you die together at least, if you're fighting together in battle.
That's true.
Mm.
Friendly fire.
Oh gosh. You're having a fight and you're like, oh yeah, you go out ahead.
Mhm. Don't worry, I'll be right behind you. Runs the opposite way.
What do you think, Mythic, about the fact that they might be like husband and wife duos fighting together?
Or they could be brothers and sisters. They could be a lot of things.
I think Dalinar thinks that like they're husband and wife because they all seem to be like a male-female pair. Unless maybe like we don't know how the Parshendi are born. Maybe like everyone's born with like a fraternal twin. You always have like a male and female at the same time. So maybe they are brother and sister.
What if? All right. What if the reason
Clone
that they want to
themselves.
bury their dead all the time is
Mm.
because they're reborn. So there's never actually any more or any less Parshendi.
That's interesting.
You know, they're just growing more Parshendi.
Now, oh my god.
That's my
Now, this might just be a way out of the way theory. You know?
Okay.
do it. I do it all the
But
time.
I'm only thinking about this because we had a whole fucking like thing where Ruin couldn't find the fucking stash of that one thing because he
Of the
couldn't see
ATM?
through
Yeah.
it or whatever, right? What couldn't he see through again?
So he just couldn't see. So basically, they had like a room made out of metal so that it hid the ATM, because like basically metal made like this bright light
Right,
to
right,
him.
right. Uh-huh.
So yeah,
What if stone has a similar property here?
I mean,
Only-
that does
and-
say that stone is holy.
Yeah, and I'm saying this because of that, and also because we found out recently that they do like cover their dead in stone or whatever.
So they don't cover them in stone. So what they do is the Alethi soul cast light eyes into stone statues.
No,
die.
no, the
Parshendi?
Yeah,
They cover them in. I'm trying to
yeah.
remember
They
what
said they
there.
like cover them in stone or whatever.
I don't remember what it said they did.
At least that's what I read. I don't remember.
I can't remember what it said they did to their dead. I just remember that it said that they dealt with their dead. They wrap them in linen and carry them out into the wilderness and leave them on slabs of stone.
Yeah.
So they don't like bury them in stone. They like wrap them in linen
Yeah.
and place them on like stone slabs.
But like, why not bury them and stuff? You know? Why like just lay them on stone?
Don't know.
Resurrection, man.
At this point, it would make sense if you don't bury them. You know?
Yeah, they come back.
They
They
come
come
back.
they're all Jesus. They come
they-
back 3 days later.
No, I mean what I'm saying is like they continue to come back.
Mhm.
Like so, like even some of the people that they've already quote unquote might have killed are coming back to fight more.
So there's zombie crab people.
I mean, immortality more like it, but sure.
So Dalinar then charges back into battle, seeing Adolin's forces fighting to one side and Sadeas is on the other. Adolin had apparently been more contemplative after being wrong about Sadeas. He notes that they could cut out the chrysalis now, but the point of their alliance was to kill as many Parshendi as possible to try to end the war. Dalinar swings his Shardblade, knowing that it isn't like another sword, as it's much lighter than it seems and doesn't have recoil when hitting something. The thrill surges within him as he fights, and he finds that he has respect for the Parshendi for how they come at him. So what do you think about this new tactic of not going for the chrysalis right away, so that they can instead keep the fight going for as long as possible to kill as many Parshendi as possible?
Didn't they talk about this like a long time ago?
No, so in the past they would just like go for the chrysalis, fight over the chrysalis, and then
No, I
keep
know,
the
but like
chrysalis
they
to go.
talked about the tactic of doing that. I'm pretty sure it was his dad, Dalinar or whatever, who was talking about the approach of it.
I mean, Dalinar talks about how like they had gone from fighting a war to like just basically fighting over the gem hearts of these crystallized chasm fiends.
No, I know there was talk about this, and I can't remember what it is. But
I'm trying to think
whatever.
of what you're talking about, because I know that like he's like, or originally like we were fighting this war and we were like really pushing out far onto the plateaus to try and get to like their main camp, but then like we were like it had been a while, and then we found like these chasm fiends and their giant gem hearts, and now everyone just goes for the gem hearts and like wants all of the wealth.
Yeah, but there was, you know how they talked about they discussed using the usage of Bridgman and the automated one or whatever, the wheel ones. or
Yeah,
whatever?
the siege tower bridges.
So they did the similar thing of whether they should attack the thing itself or if they should take care of them first. And I don't remember who it was with, but
It might have been Sadeas talking about that, or
maybe
Dalinar talking to probably one of the high princes about it.
maybe it was around that time where he like was first starting to like try and attack with other people. You know, like
Yeah,
convince
so
them or
it
whatever.
was probably then.
But
Yeah, that might have been Dalinar going into how like that's what he wants to do, because he was like, oh, we should abandon the Vengeance Pact because it's been too long, and he's like, no one's gonna agree to that. So actually, let's try and just like finish off this war finally, because we've only been attacking the gem
yeah,
hearts.
I think it also like was during the time where like he was, oh, we haven't like won anything, but Sadius has, like, you know, because he's faster and all this shit, and like he
Yeah,
does
he was
this
looking
shit.
at the gallery of maps or something, and it also had a list of like how many
Mhm.
gem hearts everyone had won.
Yeah, I mean, so like it makes sense that they're gonna implement it like right after, and
Mhm.
it's we know it went pretty well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was kind of going well, and then like they brought in a second Parshendi army though as well, which they weren't expecting, which we will get to. But yeah. So, however, as Dalinar kills 4 more, he suddenly feels a wave of nausea. Dalinar tries to ignore his disgust and continues killing, but he continues to feel regret and thinks that these Parsendi Parsendi soldiers deserve respect and not glee at their deaths. Dalinar thinks back to the past and how the thrill once almost brought him to attacking his own brother. His honor guards cheer as Dalinar fights, and he tries to take hold of the thrill to force the nausea away. Dalinar kills 3 more Parshendi, but one of them gets inside his reach and slams a hammer into his helmet. Dalinar can see the cracks form on the helmet, leaking stormlight, and he drops his Shardblade to punch the Parshendi in the shoulder and then kick him 20 feet away as he summons his blade. So what do you think about Dalinar once again losing the thrill for a moment and feeling disgusted as he kills the Parshendi?
Feel like he's losing his mind. Murder them all.
What's the question again? Just the final part.
So what do you think about Dalinar once again losing the thrill for a moment and feeling disgusted as he kills the Parshendi?
He's losing the will to like fight the battle. Like, you know, like there's so many fucking people that he's killing.
Mm-hmm. I think he's also
But
like
also,
he mentions seeing like the bravery in these Parshendi for like being willing to go against a Shardbearer.
yeah,
Whereas, like, I think he like sees a lot of the Lethe troops being like, "Oh, they're just playing games," but these guys are like actually trying.
maybe it's just honor coded then.
He is honor coded. So suddenly,
He's playing ranked while the others are playing classic.
Suddenly, Dalinar sees a second Parshendi army approaching, and he wonders why they were holding back. Dalinar begins shouting orders as the army regroups with new tactics to account for the second group of Parshendi. But Dalinar soon knows that they seem to be heading for Sadeas' army. Dalinar moves to climb up onto some rocks to get a better view, and sees the Parshendi jumping the chasms and heading straight for Sadeas. So were you surprised that a second Parshendi army had shown up?
No, not really. I figured there were going to be a bunch of them.
I was surprised. I thought they were gonna have like a full-on advantage because they merged two fucking armies or whatever. But
Mhm.
no, another fucking wave of fucking persistent crap people things
Yeah,
came.
well,
So.
because Downer in previous chapters has said like, oh, I feel like they're sending less Parshendi recently. Like they're backing off of Chrysalis as they can't fight as much lately. So I feel like we're finally getting their numbers down. And then like this chapter, he's suddenly like, what the fuck? They have a whole second army they're able to
Those
send out right
zombie
now.
people, like Mythic said,
Yeah, maybe it's just the zombie people. They were just slowing down as they were waiting for their people to be revived.
Interesting. Oh, like, can you imagine if they're in like the chasm or whatever, and then suddenly just one of them grabs their leg or some shit?
Yeah, Kaladin's like grabbing some stuff off the Parshendi corpses, and then suddenly they're like alive again.
Uh-uh. Maybe it has to be a storm in order for them to revive.
Maybe. There's a lot of things on Roshar that seem to be affected
Storm.
by Stormlight.
Yeah.
Don't they have
Uh,
gems inside them?
I don't remember if they've mentioned if the Parshendi do or not, but all the other crab-like creatures have gem hearts.
At some point, I'm pretty sure I said they ate them. So.
So it's
I
it's
mean,
very possible
so
that Parshendi could also have gem hearts, like the Chasm Fiends and stuff like that.
I have a theory.
I
Okay.
would dissect.
Going based off of our previous stories and different books.
Yeah.
What if the gems, like gem hearts and the gems and all that stuff, are just what are the spikes from Mistborn? Just like the spikes from Mistborn. And I'm gonna go with Odium because that's the one that I think is the evil one. Odium is able to like manipulate them a lot like he manipulated the whatever the fuck those things were called, the big Colossus motherfuckers. I can't think what those things were called again. The things that have fused 5 humans
Yeah,
to
they
make
were called Koloss.
Koloss. That's it. Yeah. It was just like the Koloss, how he could control Koloss. He's controlling the Parshendi or something, and then the Chasm Fiends and shit like that.
So you think kind of he can control like creatures who like are like holding investiture
Mm-hmm.
because like maybe like
I also have a
the
theory,
stone the gem
but
hearts are like sorry.
I haven't concreted this whole theory yet, so I'm trying to figure out if it's a way to concrete this. But I feel like Spren are also investitures in some way, shape, or form.
Well, I
So
mean,
we're pretty sure that Spren are some form of investiture because I believe in the Celish essay, I believe it mentions about how the Seons in Elantris are like splinters of investiture, and I think it briefly does mention as well that like they're similar to Spren from Roshar.
Mm.
So like anything magical basically is related to investiture. So like the Spren are
Well, no,
somehow
I meant like
related to the
I don't know why
investiture
I said
here.
investiture. I meant like
the god.
like the spike, kind of like the spike, basically.
Mm,
Like they're living whatever whatever that you want to call those things. Because I know they had a name, but I can't remember
the
right now.
hemalurgic spikes.
Yes, thank you. They're like the hemalurgic spikes, except that they're living and being able to move and do stupid, do
Like
stuff.
a power up?
Like I have this like I said, I'm trying to figure out how to narrow it down. I feel like the Spren are in some way like it's coming from kind of from the Kaladin having Syl all the time, and all of his Stormlight, whatever the little gems or whatever,
Yeah.
kind of losing their Stormlight. I feel like Syl is some way also giving Kaladin like the same effect
Mm-hmm.
without like even without the gems or whatever that he has. Syl is able to also give him some form of that same power or whatever.
The magical mystical miracle.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of giving me that whole feel like with what was her name from Mistborn, the main chick,
Vin?
No,
Vin.
Vin. Yeah, that's it. It's kind of giving me like the Vin having the earring all the time, and we never looked at it like as a metal spike in her ear kind of idea. And so, I mean, I did eventually, but like not in general, just in general, like it went for a long time where we didn't even think about it.
Yeah,
And
well, because you don't
then,
even know about hemalurgy for a long time, so.
yeah. So, but like, it's kind of giving me that same feel because she's always with him. I feel like maybe it's, uh, either the good or bad god is like, whispering in his ear through her kind of idea.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he's ever stated he had visions before this, right?
No, it seems like his first time having any sort of like vision was when he was strung up in the high storm.
Mm-hmm. And Syl was there defending him like a badass.
Syl was defending him, and also he had that one sphere from Teft. That seems to be what was basically keeping him alive during the high storm.
Seemingly. But really, it was Syl the whole time.
Or it could be a combination of both.
Doesn't Kaladin also state that there are other people, other slaves that have been, their like stuff has been drained? Though?
So I think Teft potentially keeps like switching out other people's spheres for Kaladin's when he
That's
was
what
like.
I was thinking too.
Okay.
I think he keeps switching them when, especially like when Kaladin was like super sick after the high storm. I think he kept like switching Kaladin's spears out so that he would keep healing without the others knowing. So I think other people's spears are going done because they're actually Kaladin's, and Teft is like in the middle of the night, like going through people's like bags.
I gotcha. Okay.
He's gonna get his ass beat if he gets caught.
And also, I think potentially like we don't know the exact proximity, but like if we know they always bring their money with them on bridge runs. So like if you're one of the people standing right next to Kaladin on the bridge run, like he might also just be taking the Stormlight out of their spheres because of their proximity to him.
Yeah.
So we don't know like how far away a sphere has to be from Kaladin.
Or maybe
Syl's
Still's being a little jumper cable and just like connecting the spheres to him, but
Syl's like, let me just take this, and then I'll take this.
I can imagine her just like hauling them.
Yeah, because as far as we know, the times that Kaladin is using the most Stormlight is during bridge runs when he's like basically somehow keeping them safe.
Everybody stays alive. I've kept you all alive.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, so
he made one comment, and every time now his power is just like innately being like, "Yep, all right, you don't want anybody to die. I won't let anybody die." Also, I love that meme, Darkness.
Contact the fisherman. I love that. But yeah, so Dalinar calls for Gallant as he jumps off the rocks, and then mounts the horse as he shouts for his honor guard to follow him, as well as to tell Adolin that he's in charge of the army. Dalinar has Gallant gallop across the plateau toward the Parshendi army. The Parshendi begin to try to go after Dalinar, but he holds at his Shardblade to take down any who get too close. Gallant takes a gash to the side as Dalinar rides towards Sadeas directly, moving past his army. Once close enough, Dalinar jumps from Gallant's saddle, and the Rhyshandium runs off to safety. Dalinar then begins fighting against the Parshendi that are surrounding Sadeas. The thrill rises in him again, and Dalinar lets the Blackthorn loose. Dalinar was like a tempest of death and steel, killing dozens of Parshendi. He makes a path of corpses until he finds Parshendi who aren't focused on him, meaning they're likely focused on Sadeas. As he slices his way into the group, he sees Parshendi beating on a man in Shardplate, leaking Stormlight. Dalinar finds Sadeas' dropped hammer and begins to use it to throw the Parshendi away from them. So what did you think of Dalinar fighting his way through the Parshendi army?
Well, the fuck is a badass.
I've also like imagine because like Dalinar's like in his 50s. Imagine how he was like in his youth when he was like fully the Blackthorn like fighting.
Right.
Like back in his 20s and stuff. Cause like this is him as like a middle-aged man. What do you think, Darkness?
Oh, I was muted, damn it.
Oh, are you talking?
Yeah. I was like, that's crazy, bro. Like he could do all that. And I was worried about the aftermath at that point of like what he would do and think after he saw everything.
Mm-hmm.
Because it seems like if he is shifting feelings towards what's happening, it's a little dangerous to see what you can do.
Yeah. So Dalinar summons Oathbringer back into his hands as he throws the hammer at a Parshendi, and he begins killing again as the Parshendi turn from Sadeas to attack him. The thrill surges through him as he kills, and Parshendi hit his Shardplate, his breastplate slowly beginning to break. However, as Dalinar was starting to worry that he was being overtaken, Adolin appears and begins killing the Parshendi that were surrounding Dalinar. The Parshendi begin to retreat with a third Shardbearer now here, allowing Dalinar to rest as his Shardplate begins to seize up on him. So what did you think about the fact that Dalinar and Sadeas almost get overtaken by the Parshendi?
They look and feel like badasses.
Also, they like severely underestimated what the fuck was happening. So.
True, that too. But they are badass.
So Dalinar gets out of his broken plate and sees that Sadeas is being pulled from his own broken plate. Sadeas gives a big grin once his helmet is pulled off and asks how the battle is going. Adolin lets Sadeas know what happened, and Sadeas says it's another victory for them, and that even in Dalinar's old age, he can come up with a good idea. Dalinar just replies that they are the same age. Sadeas then announces to his men that his whole army His whole army will eat like light eyes
Whole
tonight.
army. Got it. That whole army, guys.
After a moment, Sadeas pulls Dalinar off to the side and asks why he risked coming alone to him, and Dalinar replies that it's part of the codes not to leave an ally behind. Sadeas states that Dalinar's honor will get him killed one day, but he won't complain about it today. Dalinar then quotes The Way of Kings, and Sadeas states that maybe he'll have to have Dalinar explain it to him sometime.
That book again.
Yeah, that storming book again.
That's what. That's the part I remembered. The whole that book again.
That storming book again.
Yep, storming book for sure.
Yeah, which is just I like how you could just replace anytime you would use the word fuck or fucking with just storm or storming.
Storm you.
Storm you. But yeah, so he says he'll have to have Dalinar explain it to him sometime, as he'd like to understand Dalinar again. As Sadeas walks away, Dalinar looks back to see the path of death that he had left behind him, and he feels revolted. He thinks that he doesn't know how Sadeas can understand him when he can't even understand himself. So what did you think of Sadeas seeming thankful to Dalinar for coming to save him?
Well, I mean, he's got a new bestie now, you know?
Well, it sounds like they were previously besties, and now they're going to be besties again.
Yes. From besties to enemies to lovers?
He's going to ditch Navani for Sadeas.
I mean...
What did you think, Mythic, about Sadeas seeming to be, like, thankful to Dalinar?
I mean, he saved his life, so...
So my overview questions. First of all, do you think Kaladin will figure out what is going on with him, or is Tef going to have to tell him?
Tef is going to tell him, because Kaladin is in denial.
What do you think, Mythic?
I agree. He's definitely in denial.
Also, considering we've already seen more of Hoid than most other books, do you think he'll show up again, or do you think he's gone for the rest of the book?
Nah, he's coming back.
Wait, who?
Hoid.
Nah. Well,
Definitely
nah. He'll be fine.
Wait, in this book or other books? Because I don't think he's coming back
In this
book.
specific book. So, like, because he shows up in... Yeah. He's to make an appearance in, like, every book. It's just, like, do you think we'll see more of him in this one?
I mean, you wouldn't be asking otherwise.
No, I'm just curious if you think... Because, like, normally... So, like, this... Stormlight is, like, the first book where you get a lot more of Hoid. Like, we've gotten, like, 3 different sections with Hoid in it now. 3 different chapters. Which usually Hoid's in, like, a paragraph. In, like, the other books we've had.
Yeah. What was the guy's name who came and saved Dalinar or whatever?
Who came and saved Dalinar?
I think it was right. Dalinar was carving through people, and then
Adolin, his son.
Adolin.
Yeah.
How's that spelled?
Adolin.
Say it again. Sorry.
Here, I can write it out. Adolin's the one who helped the whore out in Sadeas's camp. Made Kaladin be like, I hate Light Eyes, but he kind of did something honorable. But I hate Light Eyes.
Mm-hmm.
He's the one who has all the girlfriends. He also likes Wit. He's like, yeah, Wit's a good guy. And then Wit also likes Renarin. Wade's a fan of Renarin. The little brother. But yeah, so my next question is, do you think Kaladin and Bridge 4 will be able to consistently get money out of the chasms by shooting it up at the permanent bridges, or do you think they're going to get caught?
Something's going to go wrong. I'm not going to be sure. I'm not sure if it's going to be like them getting caught, but something's definitely going to go wrong.
What do you think, Mythic?
What was the question? Something about getting caught.
Do you think Bridge 4 is going to be able to consistently get like the money out of the chasms by doing like the bow and arrow with rock, or do you think they're going to get caught?
Oh yeah, they're definitely not going to last that long.
Can never be easy for Kaladin.
Yeah.
Also, do you think Sadeas and Dalinar fighting together is going to change the war and how it's fought?
Yeah, for sure. People might, the other high princes or whatever, might even feel in danger because of the fucking alliance. Start problems and shit.
I mean, that's what Dalinar worried about, which is why he went to Sadeas last, because he was like, I'm worried that the other high princes are going to like be threatened by us working together because we're the 2 most powerful high princes.
Yeah.
But they kind of gave him no other choice. Do you agree, Mythic? Do you think it's Dalinar and Sadeas working together? It's going to be like a threat to the others?
Probably, yeah. I feel like that's definitely not going to bode well.
Also, do you think Dalinar is going to be able to create a positive change in Sadeas? Because Sadeas kind of was like, he's like, maybe I'll have you explain the Way of Kings to me again.
Probably.
Sadeas is going to go from being kind of a bad guy to being more of like a more Dalinar-esque.
Did you say bad guy?
Well, he's been kind of like an antagonist to Dalinar for most of this. Like
he's a great guy.
he does the bridge cruise. He doesn't care if they die. Aylin's been like, he's definitely
Okay, but
working
that's
against
like
you.
reasonable.
I'm just saying. So you think he's gonna? Do you think he's gonna become like more like Dalinar by
He
working with
might.
him?
I'm pretty sure he will.
Do you agree, Mythic? Do you think he's gonna become more like Dalinar as they work together?
Yes,
All right.
for sure.
Those are my final questions. Mythic, do you have anything you want to add to your big theory? Or are you gonna no?
I'm still contemplating it.
Gonna keep
Well,
working
thank
on
you.
it till next week.
Yep.
All right.
No,
Sounds
and then
good.
next week I'm gonna come up with a whole big theory, and then by the time we finish, you're gonna be like, I don't understand how you figured this out. No, it's gonna happen.
Did you do any other thoughts, Darkness, before we end?
No, I think I got a lot of it out of the way.
Okay. So those were our chapters. Next week we will be doing chapters 57 to 59. We got some fucking long ass chapters.
Do we know what they're singing? The
We
Parsha?
don't. They have like their own
What?
language, so we don't know what they're singing. We just know that they change like the rhythm of the song depending on like what's happening, and like they seem to be able to like match with each other even if they're like out of hearing range of each other.
And then one dude that is on there, that's in Bridge 4, is a Parshendi, correct?
No, he's a Parsh man. So he's one of like the slave
wait,
ones.
they're not. Wait, there's okay.
So there's the Parshendi who have like culture and can talk and fight the war, and then there's the Parsh men who have been with the humans for a lot longer than they've known about the Parshendi, and they're the ones who like just don't talk basically ever. They're just like do whatever, and they're the ones who are like the only thing that affects them is when they're dead or messed with. But they're like related. They look the exact same as the Parshendi, except for that they're like they don't have armor.
Are you still streaming?
Yeah.
Okay. Big theory.
Okay.
Another big theory, because it's been stuck on me thinking he was a Parshman or a Parshendi, not a Parshman. Wondering why he wasn't fighting them. I have this idea that there is something, whether it could be tied in the whole resurrection thing. Maybe when they resurrect, they're like not as good like they're not a soldier anymore. They kind of get like demoted down magically, not like a ranking system, but like when they first come back, they're like children, right? So you can't speak, you don't remember much of anything, and maybe that's what they are, but the Parshmen are. And then feel like, because everything is in that high storm, everything like all the power seems to be coming from that high storm in some way, shape, or form. That maybe if like he went and like was subjected to the high storm at some point, or some like in a different form, or maybe just Stormlight, he would be able to become like a warrior again or something. And then if that is true, Kaladin being nice to him and like trying to be like on his good side would be great at the end when if he does become a warrior, because then he might defend Kaladin.
Well, we do know, so based on what we know currently and going along with your theory, it might make sense that like the high storm affects how the Parshmen are like, because obviously all the humans, they can't be out in high storms, it's too dangerous, right? So they would obviously also keep their Parshmen inside during a high storm. But we know from the accounts that Yasna and Shalon read about Gavilar is that the Parshendi don't seem to mind high storms. They're like, nah, they're fine. We're not bothered by them. So maybe like they're out in the high storms all the time, and like if they do have gem hearts, yeah, maybe they're like sentience, or like they're like somehow powered up by the high storm. But like the Parshmen, because they're kept inside because that's what the humans are used to, they don't get that like infusion of Stormlight.
I gotta work on this because I feel like there's gonna be multiple versions of Parshman, Parshendi, whatever, and like something, I don't know how to explain it. Like there's gonna be soldiers, like a whole society, right?
Yeah, we know that they have a whole society because they had like at the when they had the king assassinated, they had like drummers and they had like all sorts of people like so yeah, they definitely have like a full culture. Like they're not all warriors. It just seems like they're able to grow armor to fight.
What if that's also a storm thing?
Well, the thing, especially when I first read this book, the what I was most excited about is like having Shen in Bridge 4 gives us a lot more access to learn more, at least about the Parshmen, if not also the Parshendi, because like he's like with like one of our main characters. So like I
Yeah.
was always such a fan. As soon as I met Shen, I was like, yes, I love him. I wanna learn
I like
more.
Shen. Yeah, I definitely like Shen for sure. But um, the it's just something I can't put my finger on that
Mm.
is weird. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Hopefully, as I said, hopefully we'll learn more as Shen hangs out with Kaladin. So yeah, as I said, next week we'll be doing chapters 57 through 59. They're all three are quite long chapters, all 20 to 30 pages long, whereas this last episode, most of our chapters were 10 to 20 pages long. So that's why there's only three. And yeah, we're getting very close to the end. Next episode is episode 15, and we have 18 episodes of The Way of Kings. So we're almost there, almost at the end. Only 4 episodes left. And so yeah, thank you guys all so much for listening, and we'll see you next week. Bye!
Bye.
Bye.